This is a typical muscle building meal, and in today's video, I'm going to show you what your plate should look like section by section if your goal is lean vegan muscle growth. So when it comes to building muscle, there are three main things that we want to focus on: calories, protein, and volume. So calories matter because your body will optimally build muscle in a caloric surplus. So we want to be eating slightly more calories than we burn every day. Protein matters because it's the main building block of muscle from a nutritional perspective. We want to be sure that we're consuming adequate amounts of amino acids to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Volume matters because we want to be sure that our meals are not so big that we can't finish them and get all of our calories in. However, we also want to be sure that we're consuming enough micronutrients, mostly in the form of fruits and vegetables, to be sure that we're getting enough vitamins and minerals every day. So it's really important that we find a balance between getting enough nutrients, but also not getting too much volume in. Alright, so up first we have our main protein source, which is tofu. Now, if you've watched some of our other videos, you know just how much I love tofu. It's super delicious, it's versatile, and it's packed with plant protein. The tofu that I made for this meal is marinated in a homemade Thai peanut sauce and air fried. This portion is just over half a package of extra firm tofu and contains 36 grams of protein and about 300 calories. Usually my main protein source takes up about a quarter to a third of my plate when I'm focusing on building muscle. I love building my meals around a main protein source because that is the main macronutrient that I'm focusing on when it comes to building muscle and burning body fat. So just how much protein should you be consuming in every meal? Well, according to a 2018 scientific review, you should aim to consume protein at a target intake rate of 0.4 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is 0.18 grams per pound of body weight per meal across a minimum of 4 meals per day. But at the end of the day, the most important factor for maximizing muscle protein synthesis, or in other words, how much muscle you're actually building, is your total daily protein intake. The general consensus in scientific literature is that you should aim to consume 0.7 to 0.9 grams of high-quality protein per pound of body weight, which is 1.5 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight per day to maximize muscle growth. So right now I'm sitting at about 190 pounds, so for me that means I should aim to consume about 140 to 170 grams of protein per day. However, unlike animal protein, there's no negative effects to consuming more plant protein, so if you go a little bit beyond those targets, that's perfectly fine. When I'm focusing on building muscle, I generally aim to consume at least 40 grams of plant protein per meal, and I generally consume 3 or 4 meals per day. The best part about focusing on building muscle is that you have a lot more calories to work with than you do when you are focusing on fat loss. That gives you the flexibility to incorporate whatever protein sources you want without worrying too much about how many grams of carbs or dietary fat they contain. After adding my main protein source, the next part of my meal that I build is the micronutrient section. If our goal is fat loss like in the previous plate building video, we'd want to go with high volume foods to fill us up for fewer calories. However, for this, we want to do exactly the opposite. We want to be sure that we're getting in plenty of vitamins and minerals without filling up our plate too much and making us feel full before we can consume all of our calories. Generally speaking, fruits and veggies will make up about a quarter to a half of my plate when I'm focusing on building a muscle building meal. One simple way to reduce food volume is cooking your veggies. So for this meal, I cooked down the spinach and red cabbage, and it greatly reduced the amount of volume for those veggies. Adding micronutrient-rich foods like edamame is a great way to add more nutrition to your meals while also adding some more protein. So now that we've added our main protein source and lots of micronutrient-rich foods, we want to add the bulk of our calories for this meal. We can easily add calories with high-fat foods, carbohydrate sources, and sauces. One high-fat food that's actually super nutritious and a great addition to any meal is avocado. So for this meal, we added half an avocado, which has 114 calories in only 68 grams of food. For our main carb source, we filled up about 1/4 of our plate with 138 grams of quinoa. This amount of quinoa contains 165 calories and a respectable 6 grams of plant protein. So avocado and quinoa are a great source of extra calories, but the most calorie-dense part of this meal is actually the sauce. This homemade Thai peanut sauce packs a whopping 265 calories in 8 tablespoons. We use half of the sauce to marinate our tofu, and we left the other half to pour over top. This sauce adds a ton of calories and lots of flavor without adding a lot of volume. If you want to add even more nutrition to your meal and not have to rely on supplementation, then you can add things like Dulse flakes, sesame seeds, and nutritional yeast. These are all high in micronutrients but don't add a ton of volume. As I touched on earlier, one really great thing about being in a muscle building phase is that you have more room to play around with flavors and high calorie additions that taste amazing. When it comes to the amount of calories that you're consuming in a muscle building phase, I generally recommend that you shoot for a 10% caloric surplus. This will allow you to quickly build muscle, assuming that you're also training properly, without gaining a ton of body fat. In other words, you want to eat 10% more calories than you burn every day. So if I burn 2,000 calories in a day, I want to aim to consume about 2,200 calories. If you eat too many high volume foods, it can be difficult to maintain a caloric surplus, and that's why we've added more calorie rich foods like quinoa, avocado, and Thai peanut sauce to make it easier to hit those calories. So this is a typical muscle building meal, and this meal contains 1,025 calories with 70 grams of plant protein. So even though you have more calories to work with in a muscle building phase, you can still make mistakes when it comes to building your meals. To demonstrate this, let's change up some of the food items that we've put on our plate. So on the flip side, it's possible to add too many calorie dense foods like sauces that bring tons and tons of calories into your meals without adding a lot of volume, which could actually leave you feeling hungry even when you are focusing on building muscle in a caloric surplus. Taking this approach could actually make you eat too many calories and pack on pounds of body fat while also not being able to hit your micronutrient needs every day. To demonstrate this muscle building mistake, we took away all of the veggies, all of the edamame, we added back a quarter of an avocado, added back about half the quinoa, and doubled the amount of sauce. So if you struggle to gain weight because you have trouble eating enough calories, then taking this kind of nutritional approach could actually be a beneficial thing for you. Just keep in mind that we have taken away lots of the micronutrients, so you want to consider supplementing with something like a multivitamin. So the most common muscle building meal mistake that I see people make is adding too many low calorie foods like fruits and veggies to their meals, which add tons of volume and makes it impossible to actually consume all of the calories. So for this example, we took away all of the quinoa and avocado, and we added 175 grams of spinach, 335 grams of red cabbage, 190 grams of carrots, and 48 grams of edamame. So just to be really clear, this plate has the same amount of calories as the plate that we just went over. It's great to eat tons of veggies because they're packed with vitamins and minerals, but consuming all of this food is going to be virtually impossible. So again, this is my typical muscle building meal, and we also covered two different versions of nutrition mistakes that people make when they're trying to build muscle that actually holds them back from accomplishing their goals. So to summarize, building muscle comes down to three main nutritional considerations. 1, we want to maintain a slight caloric surplus. 2, we want to consume adequate amounts of plant protein. And 3, we want to be sure that we don't have too much volume and kind of have an optimal amount of food so we hit our goals without feeling too full. I do want to note that your nutrition needs are different from mine, so your meals might look a little bit different based on your body composition and your goals. If you want to learn everything that you need to know to build lean muscle as a vegan, you can download my ultimate plant-based nutrition guide for building lean vegan muscle that's linked in the description below. In this guide, you'll learn how your body actually builds muscle, how much protein and what types of proteins you should be consuming to build muscle, the top 10 foods that you should be eating to boost muscle growth, and much more. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.